Elliott Serrano and Jose Melendez. Coming to you from Dreamland Comics in Schaumburg, Illinois. Thank you for joining us here yet again on the Comic Culture Warrior YouTube channel. We are also joined today by Avi. Avi is one of Jose's regular friends, and Avi has
regular friends. Unless I've had something bad to eat, and then unfortunately,
because it's like I only see Jose once, maybe twice a week. You get to see him almost all the time.
Once every 2 weeks, which is
once every 2 weeks.
I win.
Really?
I win.
This is yet another part of Last Rants. If you tuned in on the last segment, we were talking about DC Comics and their Wednesday Comics endeavor, which is not turning out to be what I'm sure Dan DiDio had hoped.
But we'll wait till we see the final product, but it's just going to be more of
The
that.
format is crappy.
The format's shitty.
But
we don't need to set the final product for
No,
that.
the content's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
The format's shitty, the
Well, it
price
should be
point's
awesome.
shitty.
but
Shitty price points.
well, we know we're pissing off the DC fans because the DC fans hate it when we say stuff about.
Should we say that Jeff Johns sucks again? He's just getting even more riled up.
I think
Jeff Johns used to not suck,
I know.
but now he sucks.
Man, you should see some of the shit that we got for ripping on Green Lantern.
You know,
That's the guy with the
Jeff,
arrows, right?
Yeah,
I'm
that's
kidding,
the guy
I'm
with
kidding.
the
I hear he wets the bed.
Yeah, I brought
I hear
that
he
up.
The
wets
character
the
of
bed.
Green Arrow?
No,
Jeff
Jeff
Johns.
Johns.
Okay,
Jeff
Jeff
Johns.
Johns. Jeff Johns was great in Flash. He did an awesome
Yeah.
Flash.
Wait,
You
what
know.
Flash?
Huh?
You talking about Flash Reborn?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, his
No,
arc
that-
on the Flash a while back.
A while back.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Because when you say Awesome Flash, lately that Flash Reborn is what he's doing.
Awesome Possum. Yeah, no.
I
I've
just we
never,
talked about. He did a whole run Flash.
yeah.
No, I'm just saying I wasn't sure which.
You know, he
part
thought I
of
was
the
referring
Flash.
to. I have not, which I've not
Well,
read.
you would agree that Jeff Johns is turning to the Brian Michael Bendis of DC Universe.
I would
right?
agree that Jeff Johns is just. Like, I mean, aside from a few things like those action comics he did with Gary Frank were pretty nice.
Which was awesome, yeah.
But I mean, he basically. Oh, listen, they know where their bread is buttered. They want to make some money. They're going to do 4 titles a month. I mean,
Hey,
it's just-
I don't begrudge the guy's his success. I don't.
I begrudge the lack of quality in your. Basically, here's the thing: you don't like put out some good product, and then as soon as you make a name for yourself, like rest in your laurels and just make a lot of books. You know, basically just up your
Page count?
your page count, up your title count, and,
Yeah,
and just
like Brian
cash
Michael
in on it.
Bendis.
Right, Brian Michael Bendis. I mean, whatever.
Well, I mean, you could ask. This is not what the topic we wanted to start on, but I mean, you could ask Jeff Johns and Brian Michael Bendis. They honestly believe that they're doing the best work they can, and I'm sure they believe they are.
Here's the thing, though. They're going to say that, of course, but in your heart of hearts, you guys, I mean, you really think you're doing your best work? Come on.
And that's what I keep saying about Bendis too. It's he'll tell you right now.
I mean, it's
that
not like a
he's-
slight difference in quality. There's a pretty big difference.
No,
in
there is,
quality.
and I'm not saying that Jeff Johns is terrible like Brian Michael Bendis. I'm just saying that he's kind of turning into that because this is what Brian Michael
You
Bendis.
say he's not saying he is it yet, but he's on his way.
He could be if he continues this way. He needs to, straighten the ship. We'll
Maybe
see
just
how.
need some perspective. I mean, when your nose is to the grindstone like that, it's hard to like take a moment, step back, and be like, hey, you know what? Maybe this is not the greatest stuff I've ever written.
Yeah,
or maybe
and
I'm too close to it to see. But let me just be rest assured. I think that maybe it's because I've read Infinite Crisis before. It was Crisis on Infinite Earths. Wasn't impressed that he just retreaded the same. I'm sorry if I'm probably taking this off. To another,
It doesn't matter.
Again.
covered in episodes times past, but
All right.
all right.
Well, anyway, we didn't want to turn this into a DC rip because actually we were going to hit Marvel now. Alfred
I love DC.
Monty.
Yeah,
Alfred
I do
Monty
too.
had passed me a message about something that I had. Thanks for passing it on. Although I did already see this on the Rich Johnston's new website, coolbleed.com. One of the hot topics that we've had, something that we have ranted about in the past here on the Comic Culture Warrior YouTube channel, has been what Marvel charges for its books. And the genie is out of the bottle. Someone from Marvel has given the straight poop on why they charge so much for their books. So
Because they can.
it's essentially yes,
I mean, that's,
because they can. So John Turritson, I don't know how you pronounce his name. He's a Marvel's general counsel and EVP of the Executive Office. I'm reading this verbatim. Presented at the Cohen and Company 37th Annual Technology, Medium, and Telecom Conference in New York. And this is what he said to those in attendance. in addressing why the more popular titles of Marvel's popular titles have gone from $2.99 to $3.99, and I quote, "We're always testing our pricing on our comic books to see the extent to which it is inelastic, and we can increase our profit in that business." He added that different books have different price points, noting that the most popular titles saw a price increase while lower selling monthlies, as well as comics aimed at kids, did not. Quote, "We're just looking to maximize our profits for that business while not alienating our own fan base by making them feel that they're gouged, which I hope you don't feel," he told a fan. Now, when you're essentially saying we're trying to push the prices as far as we can to make as much money as we can.
Those bastards. It's a capitalist country. I mean, come on, guys.
I know, but I'm saying, but then you follow up and say, we don't want you to feel like you're being gouged.
Right.
Come on, that's what you're doing.
Well, here's the thing. They're going to push the envelope as much as they can, which every business, especially one that's owned by shareholders, has the not only the right, but they have a responsibility to do that.
No,
you know?
but that's what we.
But
this
here's the thing:
this is
you
the
are
same
making
thing that
people feel gouged. So
right. Well, this is the thing that
Yeah.
we talked about this 6 months ago, and we said that this is probably the reason why they're doing it. But Marvel's never come out and said it.
Exactly, and that's the issue that we've had. It's not so much that they're raising the prices, but it's that they've tap danced around the whole reason why they've done it. If Joe Quesada had come out and said, let's face it, we have our top writers and our top artists working on our top books. We charge more for them for that reason because we want to maximize our profits. We're not going to charge as much for the kid books because we want kids to still read them. For the mid-level books that don't do so well, we're not going to charge as much because we don't want to alienate folks from those books. Be honest about
You know,
it.
the weird thing though is, I mean, again, not to play devil's advocate, but I will play it.
No, by all means.
You know, in what other industry, like, what kind of sense of entitlement do comic book fans, myself included, have when it comes to comics? What other company would have to tell you why they're doing their prices? It's none of your business. You want to buy it, buy it. You don't want to buy it, don't buy it. They're not beholden to you to explain to you what their market strategy is. Here's $4. You want to pay $4 for this 22-page comic book? Great. If you don't want to buy it, wait for the trade. Do whatever you want. Not buy any comic books. Watch a movie.
Well,
get a CD.
But then the trade prices are going up now too.
Sure, but I mean that's the thing is that their responsibility to do that. It's understandable until people stop buying it. They're not gonna change that price point.
I understand that, but for what they were doing in the beginning was giving you all that reprinted bullshit in the back, charging you more money,
right?
And then the stuff that was reprinted in the back, they don't have to pay anybody to do that. They're just making.
Well, here's the thing, and I kind of appreciate the notion of getting more stuff for free or whatever, or not for free, but adding into the price. I personally don't, because I'm running out of space in my house, and I could use the extra room in my long box. Don't put stuff that I have reprints of elsewhere or have read before or have no interest in reading. So, I mean, I understand that whole thing. If you want to charge $4 for a comic book, go ahead. See how many people stop buying comic books. I mean, it's been happening steadily. That's fine. But in all honesty, $4 for a comic book is too much to spend. But so is $3, and so is $2. Compared to, like, spending $20 on a DVD that will give you 8 hours of enjoyment, both audio and video. I mean, come on. Like,
well, that's the whole point, though. I think $2.99, that was a threshold. That's what we talked about before.
I don't think that's a threshold, though. That's a crazy number to make a threshold.
But I think it was already kind of pushing it, and it's become accepted. But now going to $3.99, it's just too much.
I mean, $3.99 is the biggest number. Like, what are you talking about? Like, I mean, if somebody would have told me when I was a kid that I would be buying a comic book that was more than $1, I would have, like, my head would have exploded. You know what I mean? If they told me that I was going to get comic books, like, in a bound format for $15, $20, I would have been like, I can't because I don't have a mansion. You know what I mean?
So it gets to a point, though. For the longest time, it's like $2.99. I was begrudgingly buying it, but then it just become accepted. But when you go to $3.99, just in my mind, it's just stepping over the line. I don't know. I can't tell you what it is. It just doesn't feel like 22 pages is worth $3.99 for $4. Exactly like you said. When you're paying money for video games and for movies, which you're going to get hours and hours and hours of enjoyment out of. I mean, I can go buy a PlayStation 3 game, $50, $60, and I can get 100 hours out of, depending on which game I buy, 100 hours worth of entertainment.
And by the way, it's not like there aren't people who are working. I mean, there's creative people working on those too. Hundreds of them.
Exactly.
You know? So, I mean, really what it comes down to is it's a niche market. Comic books are not for everybody. They won't ever be for anybody. Like,
but
they used to be for everybody. People used to buy millions of copies of Captain Marvel comics, the Superman comics. It doesn't happen anymore.
Right, but getting back to what he said about, hoping not feeling gouged, that's exactly what they're doing. They're trying to bleed what's left of the industry.
Well, they're
for more
not
money.
intentionally doing that. They want.
I think they are intentionally doing that.
They're trying to avoid it. The problem is they don't know where the line of the sand is.
DC is the ones that are avoiding it by not doing that.
DC is not a publicly traded company. It's a subsidiary of a major
That's
conglomerate.
true. That's
so
true.
I mean, it's not that you can't compare the
but
two. They don't have to show they're profitable. In other words,
right?
Warner Brothers
Actually, DC does have to show that it's profitable.
Well, but they get credit for the licensing arms too, though.
Yeah, that's true. But Dan DiDio has been under the gun for the books making money. That's why Dan DiDio's doing all this crazy stuff in the hopes of getting people to start really treating the books more. They want to get more liquidity in the DC arm. That I know they do.
Well, I think one of the ways of doing that is not constantly retreading stuff that your fan base has read 10, 20 years ago.
I completely agree with that.
I mean, it might be a good idea not to just replay that same old song.